Former President Donald Trump wants to install a new RNC slate of leadership, all before even formally securing the party's presidential nomination. The former president wants to replace current RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel with North Carolina GOP chairman Michael Whatley. And he says the new co-chair should be his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump. McDaniel says she has no plans to leave until after South Carolina's February 24th primary election. But an interesting update there for sure. And then also this, Vice President Kamala Harris is facing renewed scrutiny as concerns over President Biden's age, his memory, his mental fitness are continuing to grow today. In a recent interview, the vice president saying she's, quote, ready to serve. There's no question about that. When asked about convincing voters if she could serve as president if she needed to. The Wall Street Journal report went on to say, quote, ahead of the re-election campaign, Democrats privately expressed concerns about Harris's place on the ticket, portraying her as a liability. Her backers maintain that Harris has been held to a different standard from past vice presidents, including Biden. Many now acknowledge Harris is on a firmer footing campaigning on abortion access, but they still aren't convinced she should be anointed as the party's future leader. End quote there from that report. Let's bring in host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, Chris Hahn, and former acting White House chief of staff for President Trump, Mick Mulvaney. Both are NewsNation political analysts. Gentlemen, good to have you. Before we get to the Veep, I'd just like your quick takes on Trump's new RNC endorsements as Ronna McDaniel is expected to step down. Backing the North Carolina GOP chair, his daughter-in-law, Lara, as co-chairwoman. Mick, let me start with you. You know, how do you read this? Does this solidify his control over the RNC, and any problem with him backing family?
No, it's not nearly as much of a problem as having a podcast called The Aggressive Progressive. That's the first time I've heard
fired,
of that.
Chris Hahn.
Oh, goodness gracious, Chris. But look, here's
Love
the thing. It's not at all unusual for the head of the party to want to put his or her team, the mechanism, in at the Republican National Committee or the Democrat National Committee as you get closer and closer to a general election. Michael Whatley, a longtime Republican operative, very capable. I think he's currently the general counsel, the head lawyer for the RNC, and he's been inside of Republican politics for 20 years. I've known him for 30. He's a good lawyer and a good Republican. I guess the only reason this would make news is because of Lara Trump going in as the co-chair. But this is typical for Trump. Trump runs the operation sort of like a family business, and he's going to want to have his family nearby and on the inner circle. He had Jared and Ivanka in the White House. Does not concern me at all that Lara is there. Lara is one of the most capable members of the family. There's actually some discussion about her running for Senate as a Republican a couple of years back. So this doesn't surprise me. And in fact, I think that this will be welcomed by a lot of folks.
Yeah, you make great points. There's nothing new about this for the former president. Chris, what's your take? What's the political impact here of this leadership revamp?
Well, first, thank you, Mick, for the plug of the podcast. New episode out today. I'm sure Mick subscribes, and thank you for that.
Your number one follower.
Look, I hope America is paying attention. Donald Trump putting a family member at the RNC is just a sign of things to come if he's giving another term as president of the United States. He will put family members, true loyalists, and people loyal only to him and not America in the cabinet. And I think this is par for the course. I'm surprised this hasn't happened months ago. Donald Trump controls the RNC. He should be viewed in this primary process as the Republican incumbent for this nomination, which he, in fact, is. And the fact that he's only getting 50%, 55% of the vote should be troubling to Republicans across this country and a signal that Democrats have green pastures ahead of them in the election.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your takes there. I just wanted to take your temperature. Now let's move on to VP talk. Nikki Haley frequently says that a vote for President Biden is really a vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. Chris, let me just follow back up with you on this one. Since you are our aggressive progressive here, are Democrats starting to see it the same way? And what's their confidence in her?
I think Democrats are very confident in Vice President Harris. I think she's been defined unfairly by her critics. And she, you know, when you're in the vice presidency, you don't have the free will and the free ability to go out there and combat that definition. If she's ever put in a position where she has to define herself, she will do the same thing she did when she ran for Senate in California and served very well as a senator, particularly on the Judiciary Committee. I think Kamala Harris is an excellent vice president. I think she would be a fine president. Whether or not if there was a vacancy in the top of the ticket, if she would be the first person to get it, I don't know. There would be a competition for that. and there are several other people who would be interested in that job. But she would then have the opportunity to define herself and what she would do for America. Right now, she's taken a backseat to the president. That is the vice president's job. That's why Harry Truman said it wasn't worth a bucket of spit.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.